Hi everyone, my name is Anju and I'll be your host for this cybersecurity webinar. I hope it's a good day for all of you and we are super excited for this discussion. And let's give one more minute for everybody to join in. Shall we start? I
Yes,
hope
Anju.
most of us are here now. And
Yes.
I'll say that once again. My name is Anju Nagpal and I am your host. And we shall be recording this session and updating it on our LinkedIn and website. Kindly keep your cameras on during the session. And this is a webinar on cybersecurity, and we all are aware that any weakness in it can significantly harm individuals, organizations, and the economy. And let's understand about this more from our keynote speakers, Mr. Pradipta Patro and Mr. Deepak GB and Mr. Sudhanshu Nayak, the head of our cybersecurity practice. Sudhanshu will be taking you through the presentation shortly after both the keynotes have been delivered. Our first keynote speaker is Mr. Pradipta Patro, a versatile, accomplished, and goal-oriented professional with 21 years of experience in digital transformation, program management, IT delivery service management, enterprise cybersecurity governance, partner management, and people management with proven record of accomplishment of delivering consistent business results through adept leadership and sound management practice. He is
Yeah.
currently the head of IT and cybersecurity at RPG Group, which is a part of KEC International Limited. Previously, he has been associated with Adani Group, Tata Group, and ICICI Lombard. And our second keynote speaker is Mr. Deepak GB. He is an IT leader with over 20 years of experience in IT solution design, implementation, and maintenance. He has rich and extensive experience in IT infrastructure and cybersecurity domains. He is also a certified security professional, having done CISM and ISMS 27001 LA with a strong focus on improving security posture to cope up with changing threat landscape. Currently, he is working at AGM IT, heading InfoSec division at Page Industries Limited. Page Industries, as you would know, is a license of Jockey and Speedo brands. And now comes our third speaker, Mr. Sudhanshu. As a CISO and head cybersecurity, Sudhanshu M. Nayak specializes and spearheads enterprise cybersecurity, cloud, and data transformation solutions. He advises CXOs and executive board on cyber risk and techno-operational mitigation, data privacy and protection, and compliance and governance. As an avid consultant to multiple think tanks, he contributes to the building of various components of national cybersecurity policies. His research and views have been cited in Center for Land Warfare Studies, the Cyber Defense Review, Army Cyber Institute Australia, DQ Channels, Tech Panda, and others. To bridge the cybersecurity skill gaps, he mentors corporate students and startups. A passionate speaker, he talks on cybersecurity and its engagement in international policies and digital transformation. His current research is focused on the interplay of cybersecurity with global peace, state espionage, climate change, international trade, and strategic diplomacy. In his free time, Sudhanshu writes on Indian templates, experiments on Indo-continental dishes, and dabbles in photography. I now call upon Mr. Pradipta Patro to deliver his keynote. Mr. Patro, we are waiting.
Yeah. Thank you, Anju. I think you have said very well context, about the cybersecurity as per, and I must thank, the CMS having me here to speak about the cybersecurity part of it. And today, cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. Everybody knows about that. It is their own responsibility into their organizations, or there is an individual per se. Okay, because it's individual. If you're not cyber aware, then ultimately, you will be ending up to, spending getting your money out of your pockets or in the mobile. Okay, so the point is today we are talking about mostly like cybersecurity is a critical to the business. Everybody knows the industry, across the industry. It is not only for the manufacturing or BFSI or might be the pharmas. It is irrespective of the industry. It has become the critical to the business. Of course, today you are talking about more of the importance is given at the board level. We have the budget, which is no more looking for the ROI because the predictability is less, or my probability we can't guarantee because the threat, the landscape, it is gone beyond the boundaries. That means Earlier we have the perimeter. Today we have to see that there is no perimeter or not. There is no restrictions like where you are accessing from, who is accessing from, what is accessing from, when and how. So this is all like perspective. If you look into that, the threat is gone multifold, and as well as the vulnerability is gone very high, and everything you cannot manage or control, or to be honest, whatever technology will be there in place, we can't say that this is 100% you are secure, or you give the assurance to the board level executive that yes, of course we have invested a lot, but is it 100% secure? No, nobody in this world can guarantee that. We have to have those places in, those guarantee to the board of level, but we can give the assurance to the, to the business. There are certain controls, effective and efficient controls in respective of the people, process and technology side of it. How we can improve those, and what are the things we can implement, the best practices, best frameworks, or might be looking into the best policy, process, people side of it, everything together we can create a good culture and the enterprise level. So on that perspective, I'll be taking down, talk about certain recent past incident. If you today talk about the incident is gone very every day, every year, you can see that, though the threat landscape is gone, it is vast. There are different vectors, different attackers. They are getting into more into the mobility side of it, or internet side of it, or might be IoT, OT, IIoT. This is all this is a threat landscape is very huge. There is nothing you can restrict ourselves. No, we can't allow the people to work from home. That is not the case today. Or we can't say that I can't manage my equipment in the OT environment, or my equipment at the site or subfloors can't be managed from the remotely. No, that can't say that way. So it is no, every time everything is exposed, or everything being expanded, that the landscape. So recent incident, if we talk about today, I'm talking about the January incidents, where we have so many ransomware attacks we have seen. That includes your MEA, MEA, mail server being hacked, and there is a lot of data breach. We can talk about ICC had lost around so many so many data, which is around what 2.5 million due to phishing scam. It is happening all. I'm talking about the month of January. Okay, the PayPal has breached credential stuffing attacks. Okay, then we are talking about the Black Cat ransomware gang. They're attacking all the industry, especially the solar industry, because that is new industry. It is coming and booming up now. So there is attack is happening in the solar industry. Iced malware, or Conti is a new generation Conti kind of things. It's coming very fast. And Nevada is there. You have Lockbeats is there. A lot of ransomware is very active nowadays. Apart from that, the Chinese ATPs are also different variant of ATPs are also getting into the market, or getting into to all industries. I'm not specific to any specific industries. And same time, if you see, there are a lot of losses are happening across. It is $1 trillion kind of money we're losing due to this cyber attacks. So in this perspective, if I talk about more who is responsible for this all this attacks, you can talk about, okay, it is the CISO roles who's going to protect, or it's the CEO roles, or it is CIO or CDO or CTO. That is always challenge. Whenever the incident comes, you might have seen recent past, the CISOs been that their necks in their head, in the in the number one. The second might be I don't know, but it's all CXO wherever it is. But ultimately, it is the management's role, how the senior management or the board member is focusing and emphasizing the cybersecurity, or supporting the cybersecurity practices at their enterprises. So it is that it is not only the individual's role or individual's responsibility. We can talk about all CXOs are responsible for the cybersecurity incident or incident breaches, because recent past you can see that Equifax is one of the example I can give it to you. It is the public domain. That CXO has been has to be out, and all CXO has to be out. Definitely the CISO has to be to be out and penalized for them, penalties put in on them, for those the effective and efficient controls are not in place. But having said that, is everyone's responsibility. That is the reason I highlighted in my discussion is the cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. All CXO would be that party to it. and definitely the senior management will be supporting to the cybersecurity practice at the organizations. Okay. So on that perspective, if I can talk about more, the all organizations to have clear cybersecurity strategy. Everybody responsible, everybody knows that. But is that we have the right practices in place? Is that right, strategies in place? If not, then we have to align, or if it is there also, you have to align with the business. Strategy cannot be, cybersecurity strategy cannot be looked into the different silos or individual perspective. It should be looking into the business outcome and business values as well. And also you have to play the role of balanced activity. Everything cannot be like, due to cybersecurity, you have to be a disruptor or resource stopper for the business. No, it should be enable the business and aligning with the business to see that how much security can build to the business. And the same time, business should ensure that how much risks they can appetite for that particular organization if something gets compromised. So that is where it can be merged and have to write cybersecurity strategy or the business strategy, part of a business strategy it should be. And most of the time, if you're looking to, as I said, like people, process, technology, these are the three places we have to focus, where we have to create, taking these three parameter, you have to create a different culture at the organizations. It is no more like, if you talk about chalta hai, chalane do jab tak chalta hai. That is what people think always, chal raha hai na, jane do. Abhi PayPal mein to breach ho gaya, hamara, build X mein nahi hoga. Nobody can talk about that. See, today, if something has happened for other industry, if I talk about, MEA is compromised, it is all public, domain, it is there, it has been breached. It is a critical infrastructure or critical informations or data we have for Indian people. So all those, it has been breached. So it is not like it is, see, it doesn't mean that they don't have control. Everywhere there is a control, but how effective or how efficient those controls are playing the role, we need to have different, not only the defensive strategy, we should have also the offensive strategy. That means, what is that offensive strategy I can talk about? All these, your EDR, we can talk about secure email gateway, we have email gateway, we have the NAC in the network side of it, we have firewall, we have web firewall, DDoS solutions, services, lot of these are all defensive side of it. But we need to see today the industry, the way it is going, it should be more of offensive as well. We're thinking about the breach and simulation attacks kind of scenarios. Or you can see that the risk-based approach, we can see that we can quantify that how much, if something is gone wrong, what is that numbers I can lose, or number that company is going to lose or organization going to lose. On that, we have to quantify those risks. Today, it is cybersecurity means we are talking about the ROI. To be very honest, there is no ROI unless until you have quantifying the risks at your place. So it should be risk-based approach where you have to quantify your risks based on your business or based your business exposure, where what we are implementing our solution into our environment. And today, if you look into the solutions are always services are always provided by so many partners, including CMS and KS. But point is, more importantly, is how efficient we are or how effectiveness on those controls or those services or those products and solutions. I'll give you an example today. Earlier those days we have antiviruses. Today we have EDR, SDR. Okay, today you can talk about SIM. We know that all the solution, that silo solution to be integrated some places to give you different kind of alert or event or incident proactively or predictively. So, but that point of time, it is all human intervenes. Every time you will see that women has to be or people has to be configure those rules. That's the reason it will be triggered that event and it will be communicate to you or can act upon those. But that SIM, or today we can talk about SIM, or might be MSSP, or might be threat intelligence, or might be that your intelligence, threat intelligence inputs, different inputs you are getting into your system, configure, everything is fine. It will give you that event triggered, but how it can be resolved without a human intervention? That is where that IML play the role. We can talk about, let's say, SOAR kind of SIM is there, fine. But what is that in automation? You can do some incident is event or triggered. How that incident can be response to it. So that is important here. So that response to be also having the rule book defined, or might be policy defined in such a way that it should act upon those predefined incidents or events which is occurring on your environment. That is one. Second point is what we can talk about, the adopting those technologies and configure it your environment, looking into your environment. That is what I'm saying is moral of that OT and IT. Today, this environment is like, merged together. Earlier, this is the two different islands, but today all OT or IoT, everything is merged with IT. It is nothing. There is OT and IoT is a different network. It is definitely like in the all edge devices is communicating to the cloud today. Means the cybersecurity, you have to look into the holistic view. That is from the edge to cloud. That means edge is might be your endpoint, your mobility device, your OT devices, anything. Even though the different like sensors you can talk about. Today, if you look into that in the IDC, I have seen that 2025 will be around 42 billion devices will be connecting to internet, and it generates around what 90 zettabyte of kind of data. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about more of your smart vehicle or might be your connected vehicle. I'm not talking that. That data will be definitely the different data altogether. But all the, if you can talk about the doorbell to till your your refrigerator, your lighting, your TV, everything, all your household devices will be connected to internet. And that is where we have to see that the threat is always multiplying on that. It is not that we are everything we are automating, but the threat is also increasing on those perspective. Okay, on that perspective, what is that we are going to do? One is the right strategies should be in place, defensive and offensive, right solution to be in place where we have to have right MSSP partner, right that tool which can give you the predictive and proactive alert and live alerts. On that basis, we can take a right decisions or right action on that. Third is, again, I said that people is always you can say it is a human firewall. I'll not say they are that key weakest link. They are the strongest link, I can tell you that, because the people who does all whatever you do, there is a phishing and social engineering is there. That is the reason ICC, I'm telling you, the phishing scam is happened around 2.5 million. They lost. That is in month of January. So the people is that people, they have to play the firewall role, human firewall, where they have to awareness will be there, so that you have the EBC, enterprise business compromisation, a lot of things are email compromises are happening. So that awareness and training should be there. Then you have to look into the policy and processes. If you don't have today, whatever controls, whatever technology solution partners you can bring to the table, but still we should have your incident management response plan in place. Who is going to do what if something is happening? Okay, on that perspective, you should have a plan, and you should find out right framework. Whether you choose your an NIST or your ISO, you should have right framework in place. So it should be identify, detect, protect, then recover and restore. This is what you should have in place. Then we are done with, and continuous assessment is part of it. And it is marathon. It is not like one time you have done assessment, everything can be secure for year on year. Every month, every day, new threats, new vulnerabilities, new technologies, new devices is connecting to overall network and ecosystem of yours. So you have to be very controlled environment. In the same time, you should have people, process, technologies are effective and efficient and monitored well. On that basis, I'll be handing over to Anju for the next session for that. Yeah. So this is that 4-5 key perspective. We can take care of it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Patro. Your keynote was full of insights and I really learned quite a lot. I'm sure so did others. Now I call upon Mr. Deepak GB to deliver his keynote.
Thanks, Anju. Thanks, Pradipta. I think I'll have to continue where you stopped. So it's things are easier for me.
Good.
So let me share a presentation. I have just short presentation so that it is easy for me to start from there. Yeah, you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So good afternoon, I'm Deepak. I got around 2 decades of industry experience, worked with IT as organization in the past. currently in manufacturing segment. I work for Page Industries as IT security lead. My sincere gratitude to Sudhanshu, Vinod, and the entire CMS IT team for inviting me here. And here are my thoughts on cybersecurity in manufacturing industry. So we have seen this pandemic, right? So we have seen the pandemic-induced slowdown, and we also witnessed the growth of manufacturing industry, which surpassed the expectation of 2021 in 2021 and 2022. Manufacturing industries increasingly relying on modern technology. As Mr. Pradipta told, we have been adopting IT, IoTs. So we have seen a lot of adoptions in terms of automation, in terms of front-end application being uh, enhanced kind of thing, and we have continued to evolve and cater to business or industry needs. As a security leader, to remain competitive and agile, we need to be on top of it. Whatever changes are coming in, it brings its own challenges related to cybersecurity. Of late, industry has been experiencing concerns related to inflation, economic uncertainty. We have been hearing about cautious spend, budget cuts, etc. So we need to be cautious about that as well. Looking forward, few important things which I wanted to highlight or to be focusing on the next year is building a security culture, which Mr. Pradipta rightly touched upon. Improving communication between a security and business leaders, which is really the need of our. Improve technology, scaling smart factory initiatives, and securing supply chain. Let's look at each one of these. So building a security culture, as Pradipta was rightly mentioning, cybersecurity is not one person's responsibility. It is not a CISO's responsibility. It's not a CEO responsibility. It's not CIO responsibility. It is the responsibility of each and everyone working with you. Inform every employee that the action they perform can have an impact on the cyber defense of the organization. Make them aware of the do's and don'ts, regular awareness session, educate them on best practices, and at last make them responsible for what they do. Only then we can at least assure the board that, okay, we are in safe hands. It is common for employees to increase their digital footprint without being aware of the risk involved. We have seen the shadow IT happening across departments. So just be aware, humans are the weakest link in the cybersecurity. Though, yes, Pradeep was mentioning that they are the human firewall. Yes, we need to educate them. We need to address that. Next is on improving communication. When I say improving communication, the communication between a security leader and business leader has to be increased. Security leaders who reported that they are successful in translating risk to mitigation regularly demonstrated a capacity to make technical data comprehensible and relevant to organization leaders. We have seen or heard about ransomware. We were able to explain such kind of terms to boards very well. But mapping a cybercrime campaigns or threat actors to the targeting of a particular asset and resource is complicated. As a security leader, we need to work on this and we need to improve the communication. Next, improving the technology. So manufacturers have increased their digital investment. We have seen that during pandemic, post-pandemic, adoption of emerging technologies, adoption of cloud, adoption of various RPAs, adopting AI and ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities. All these are required for the organization, for the business to be kind of productive and be competitive. A right mix of technology adoption that strengthens the core while also pushing the edges can improve efficiency. We all know that. So those who invest in the right tech can reach the market faster. We have seen that the amount taken to market a product is much faster when we have a technology support with that. Increased automation is likely to drive productivity, but it also leads to change in workforce composition industry. We have seen accelerated warehouse automation in response to pandemic-related labor shortage. We could not do that, and we end up getting support from third-party logistic players in this area because we had a huge labor shortage during the pandemic. Next point to touch upon is the holistic approach of initiatives taken to improve your smart factory infrastructure. Many manufacturing industries, including ours, have been putting investment in laying the technology foundation for their smart factories to be able to ready for the future competitiveness. We need to do that right now. So adopting to the cloud, adopting to edge computing, adopting 5G is all happening now. While we are all doing this, organization must stay ahead of cyber threats. Most of us are investing in cyber infrastructure. However, the focus should be not only cyber defense, but also the resiliency and continuity of businesses in event of cyber attack. In event of monitoring, in event of increasing monitoring efforts to check anomalies in IT and OT as quickly as possible can prevent a catastrophic damage which can happen. I think Pradipta has already touched upon this. We have 42 billion IoT devices getting connected to the internet. So you can imagine the amount of monitoring required. So you need to make sure I think this is happening. The next is about the supply chain. We know that how supply chain can bring down a business. Supply chain attacks can be mitigated. So we have seen that legitimate apps can deliver malicious payload if it is infected through a supply chain kind of attack. In 2022, we observed increased in both number of malicious entities targeting various industries, as well as the amount of disruption that can cause to your organization or the industry. Supply chain attacks can be mitigated, even prevented by implementing a zero trust approach. Zero trust approach requires continual authentication and authorization, which will help you to control all this kind of supply chain related attacks. Our motto should be trust none, test everything. That's it from my end. Thank you for your patience, and I wish you all a very good evening. Over to him.
Thank you so much, Mr. Deepak. Your presentation is food for thought for a lot of us. I now call upon Mr. Nayak to take us through his presentation. Kindly use the raise hand button if you have any queries, and Mr. Nayak shall address them all at the end of the session. And we shall be conducting some polls during his session, so stay tuned for that. Mr. Sudhanshu, please join us.
Sure, thanks, Anju. Thanks, Pradipta. Thanks, Deepak. So I'll be extending your thoughts, and I completely agree. There were certain points of learning for me also, right? So, before we get into what I wanted to share with the concepts which I wanted to share with you, I just thought I'll just give you a small snippet of the kind of breadth and length that we go to in our services when we are delivering cyber security solutions for the customers. Now, all of us are, say, taxpayers. Now, very simple thing, all our data is being protected by CMS IT Services. I'll not linger here, right? So let me move forward. Right, so there are 6 different solutions that we normally provide in the market, right? So this you must be already aware of, right? A couple of them are pretty new to you. And for example, we provide Cybersecurity Operations Center System Integration Services, right? Now here we provide, say, cloud-based and on-site SIM plus SOAR services. There are some 45 technology partnerships which we run for IT and non-IT. We have a 27-step deep resilience system integration process which actually tests in multiple toll gates the various scenarios that you normally face where things can go wrong. So here I will request Baishali to just launch a first poll. It's a very simple interactive poll. So feel free to give your thoughts, and we'll take it forward from there. I'll just wait for a minute or so. Baishali, up to you.
I have launched the poll.
Sure. So while you are also answering the poll, right, so it is a fun presentation. So please do hold your questions. We'll take all of them one by one. Right. So alongside system integration services, right, so you will also have your managed information security services. Now there is a very funky term these days which people have started using, right, which is called managed detection and response services. What we provide is an outcome-based security services. Total accountability is ours. Now, there is a flexibility of delivery mechanism that we provide, which means we can deliver on-site services for you. the way we are doing it for, say, UCO Bank's Security Operations Center. Or if you want to go hybrid, we can provide hybrid services to you. There are some customers I will not be able to mention because of NDAs, but we are delivering them from our SOC, which is in Bangalore with a hot knock based out of Bombay. And there is a total accountability on CMS IT. Now, there is a buzzword which is going around in the market, which is security at the edge. Now, this is a confusing area for a couple of reasons. Number one, some people, or rather IT leaders, as all of you define it as security at the edge of the network, which means endpoint devices or your endpoint network devices, etc. There are also people who define edge computing as a complete setup of your mini cosmos of your entire organization. For example, we deliver services to Oil India. Now, their drilling stations in Assam, they have their servers, network, storage, everything there in that location where decisions are taken on a regular basis. That is also edge computing. Now, we can provide services on both sides. Now, there are very two interesting service offerings that we have. One is antivirus and EDR as a service, which means you don't have to pay your license fees upfront. It is a bundled service. That means you get subscription of antivirus and EDR, plus implementation, plus the regular operations for antivirus and EDR, all bundled into a monthly price per unit device, right? So that solution is there. We provide zero trust network access, which means it can encrypt your network access. It can provide software defined perimeter. So that means it will cloak all your devices, servers, so that outsiders cannot even launch a command like nmap to map your network to figure out which are the open IPs, right? So those kind of solutions also provide in the market. Now, this is an interesting thing where, if you go into zero trust network access, there will be a complementary solution which people have started implementing in their premises, which is slightly augmented in its flexibility and its functionality. Other than the privileged identity access or privileged access management, which we were using earlier, people have started moving into what we are calling as cloud-based identity and access management solutions when they are going into a cloud-based or the hybrid kind of a setup. Now, alongside that, if you are looking for, say, cloud security services, we provide Kubernetes monitoring. We provide cloud SecOps, which means all the guardrails that you want to build for your cloud setup can also be monitored on a regular basis, and incident management can be done on it. Some customers, actually majority of them, they want us to provide vulnerability assessments, penetration testing, firewall configuration reviews, application testing for their web applications and for their mobile applications. And there are a few who have also asked us to do cyber resiliency assessments. Now, very interestingly, we are certain, empaneled, so we will be able to help you with all this. There are some customers who actually bundle all the services with the managed information security services, right? So that is how it is. So if there are some questions, I'll be willing to take at the end of the presentation. Vaishali, would you like to go for a second poll to make it more interesting?
Vaishali, has the first poll been answered?
It has been answered by few of them.
Okay, so folks, those of you who are waiting to answer the first poll, please answer it now. As soon as you answer it, we are going to launch the next one, and the results are confidential. So there is nothing that will go out of this meeting in any case. Vaishali, can we launch the second poll?
Yeah, we can.
So okay, please launch it. Yeah, so we can let the poll be, and Sudhansu, you carry on. Right. Sure. Before the next poll, we will check whether this has been answered.
Okay. So there were some posts you would have noticed in LinkedIn. So there are some questions also which came my way. So Anju, what is this 1357 you guys are hyping up in the market? I said, say, hang on, right? So it is something which you already know, right? I'm just trying to loop them into a single thread so that you get the sense of it, right? Let us understand one by one. Right. So what is our first priority, which both Pradipta and Deepak mentioned, that our primary priority should be zero trust, because earlier the perimeter is now gone, The earlier perimeter which we used to have with firewalls, with our network, segmentation, etc., it is all gone. Now anybody can access from any device, from anywhere, and from accessing through any network, right? So that is the primary thing. So what do we have? All cybersecurity and IT leaders, they follow three primary principles. One is confidentiality, second is integrity, and third is availability. These are the three elements. We call it the CIA triad. That means the data has to be confidential. Your business data has to be confidential. Whatever, if you have written ABC, ABC should be available at any point in time, and ABC should be ABC. It should not be ABD, right? So confidentiality, integrity, and availability, three primary elements. Now, Deepak talked more on zero trust. Now, what are the zero trust elements? Because the perimeter is gone, how do you know if somebody is logging to your network, whether the person is actually the right person or not? So don't trust anybody. Verify continuously. Some people go overboard and they verify every session. Anytime any new laptop comes in, they verify every new laptop. So it is called explicit scrutiny. You assume that there are only two categories of organizations in this world. First organization know that they have been breached and they're trying to prevent the breach. Second, organizations don't know that they have been breached, but somebody is already there. Let me give you a very interesting snippet. Everybody says, I want to take care of zero-day vulnerabilities. I want to patch very quickly, etc., etc. Now understand, zero-day vulnerability means you have 0 days to patch. That means even the OEM of that software was not aware yesterday that there were people who were manipulating that particular loophole in the software for 60 days, 90 days, or 360 days. Right? So they have been manipulating. That means there is a breach in the system, but how soon you patch it is why it is called a zero-day vulnerability. So presume there is going to be breach. Presume that everybody is looking for that important data from your network and they will be hostile when you catch them with it or without it. Now keep on your visibility, keep on analyzing. So these are the 5 tenets of zero trust. So you have one priority, which is zero trust, 3 elements, confidentiality, integrity, availability, 5 tenets, which are zero trust tenets. So 1, 3, 5 is taken care of. This much you already know. Let me extrapolate this into a prism. So this is what we have all studied in the childhood. Now, when one single ray of light passes, it disperses into 7 colors, which is called waveguide. Now comes the interesting part of it. Now there are 7 chakras of human body, right? So out of the various 72,000 chakras, nadis, etc., what people talk about, the primary 7 are your 7 chakras, energy centers, so to speak. So starting at the base of your spine, going up to the very head, right? These are the various stages of enlightenment as you go. So what we have done is we have tried to map them into the various components of an IT organization or even a normal organization, and it matches brilliantly. I will explore this further, but let me just share with you the basic foundation. You should be doing a discovery of your network, figuring out where the loopholes are, figuring out a right design for yourself, defining who are the people who should have access to which application, what are the dependencies that you have on the various third parties or the employees or certain solutions or supply chain components like softwares or hardwares, etc. You define them. Now, endpoints come as the second point of integration. Now, here what happens, endpoints are those people who are your devices which the employees are using. Now, those are the users who interact with your partners, interact with your customers, interact with their peers, your competition, etc. Those are the people who actually extrapolate your company's creativity into the market, right? Now, network is what they use, on which you have compute storage and databases running, which integrate with your systems and applications. Now, these are the primary 4 components using which your employees engage with the world, engage amongst themselves. Now, there at the forward level, you will see there is a governance, risk, and compliance. So you need to monitor all of them, you need to manage all of them, and you need to have a governance mechanism to manage all of this. Now, if you do this, then you will have enormous amount of visibility, observability, so that you will be able to observe where things are going wrong, where the packets are actually falling. If there is a DDoS, who is doing it, on which IP and why, which port is open on which device and why. Is there somebody who is breaching or doing a privilege escalation? All that you will be able to see. Only when you will be able to see, you will be able to take a decision on it. So let us blow this up. Now we call this the zero trust chakras. Now, if you see and map your components of the various solutions, for example, endpoints. What does an employee use? Employee uses a laptop or a mobile device where you will have an antivirus or an EDR or an encryption. You will probably try to protect the data loss on the endpoint device. And if the person is carrying some kind of mobile device, you'll probably try and do it using an MDM or MDM plus a mobile threat defense, which is like your antivirus and EDR combined together for a mobile device. Similarly, for the device health, is the device patched to the latest OS? Is the device patched to the latest antivirus? Does the person who uses the device, is the person authorized to enter the network? So do you have identity and access there? And if it is an ICS or an OT device, which is your IoT device of your assembly line, there is a particular sensor which you have added, which is also streaming data into your server using an IP address. Do you have the right posture for that particular device? Are you collecting that information to see whether it is open or wrong, or open to the internet or not, right? So those kind of ICS and OT security posturing also we provide. Now look at the network. You all know about firewalls, secure web gateways, DNS security, network access control. Now these are all parts of the network. And if you go to compute storage and databases, you will have your patching of the hypervisors. You'll have your DB encryption, data classification, where you define which are the kind of data which is confidential, which is private, which is public. Can you provide server protection using server antivirus or specific cloud antivirus? Do you do regular backup and recovery, right? So that comes in the compute storage databases. Now, similarly for systems application and messaging, here, do you have mobile app security? Do you have web application firewall, etc.? Now, at the governance and risk compliance layer, here actually you build in your governance. You say, all right, I have a information rights management system. I have a digital rights management system, and there is a policy for it. If I have an incident response monitoring document, which means in case there is a defined incident identified or defined, what are the various steps that I will be following to take care of my incidents? The way Pradipta mentioned, that is very essential for you to react to it as quickly as possible. So there are some customers who have started asking us not a mean time to respond. They have started asking us a median time to respond, which means out of 20 incidents, we have responded on time for 98 incidents or 99 incidents. But that 1% is what creates the trouble. Can you do it on a median basis? It's actually a very difficult I would say SLA to achieve, but we are trying. We have started putting in some processes in-house to develop that. Now, to create the maximum visibility at the topmost layer, what do you do here? You take all your decisions. Do you have an SIEM system? Do you have a security automation system or an orchestration system? Right? Do you have playbooks? Do you do continuous vulnerability assessments or forensic investigation or dark web monitoring? There are customers. I was pleasantly surprised. Even though RBI does not mandate, the banks we work with have started asking for dark web monitoring and for brand monitoring solutions proactively, because they have realized compliance is one thing, protecting my own network, protecting my servers, my storage, my end users is my primary KRA, key result area. So they have started asking for it. Now, we are not saying that everybody needs to have all the solutions. So depending on the kind of business that you are running, depending on the maturity which you have, you may be a startup, who may be just about starting, maybe you will start with antivirus solutions or antivirus plus EDR as a service with, and if you are doing web applications or mobile applications, or your customers or employees are using mobile devices, you can go for a mobile threat defense solution or a web application firewall or a DNS security as you grow. You may have some cloud VMs and you can have cloud identity management. Slowly and steadily, you grow up the maturity curve. So it is not that you have to buy everything. So whichever is the best part of it, you please go ahead. Now, we also provide what we call a cybersecurity maturity assessment as a service. That also is available, right? So this is a concept which we thought we will share with you, because there are customers I have met in my continuous meetings with the customers. They're saying, in one page, can you show me where all we have to go for solutions and why? Now, some customers are purchasing antivirus because the friend has purchased. See, the friend is in, say, pharma industry, you are in, say, manufacturing, or the friend is in healthcare and you are in, say, travel industry. Your requirements, their requirements are different. For example, if you go to automobile industry, automobile manufacturing and automobile sales, they carry different devices. You go to a car showroom, they'll be carrying tabs. You won't have tabs in the manufacturing locations. They have IoT devices there. So the IoT security there, mobile defense in the sales side, you have to go and combine them at some place. So you have to find out which are the solutions you have to really purchase for your organization as per your maturity. Vaishali, over to you. If there is a poll which you want to launch.
Yes, I'll be launching the next poll.
Good to go?
Yes, we are getting the responses. You can proceed.
Sure. So I don't have many more slides. What I will do here is I will just leave with a parting thought before we take the questions from each one of you. Right. So if you have questions pertaining to our session today. Now, essentially, if you are purchasing a specific solution given a particular requirement that you have or a use case that we have, we will be able to provide you not only with the technology solution, but the integration and the corresponding operation services with it also. Now, we are not resellers of technology solutions. We actually bundle it into a technology solutions services set and then engage with you, right? So deployment will be very quick and all said and done. I will not go deep into all the 7 or 8 components. I'll just try and mention that we will have total accountability of the project that we'll be delivering to you. Now, this is my last slide, right? So while you are running through the polls, if there are any specific questions, right? So I like to take them. I'm just going off the sharing mode. Hope it is okay.
I think Mr. Neeraj Kapoor has raised his hand.
Yes, Neeraj, please go ahead.
No, Sudhanshu, no question. Sorry, by mistake.
Oh, okay. So that means the raising of the hands functionality works in Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, of course it does.
Sure.
There are some more hands which have gone up. Vaishali, can you check?
Yes, Mr. Pradipta Patro has raised his hand.
Yeah,
Yes,
hi Sudhanshu, I'm Pradipta here. So I would like to understand, I've gone through this pretty well, a lot of services CMS is offering. But what is that? Is it everything is an OPEX model or something you expect like, that organization is already invested certain CapEx? So how you can take that up if you are taking certain OPEX everything? Let's say today, if I subscribed something or I invested something, is it something can be taken care by you, or at the end of subscription we'll take it off? How it is, how your model and how your services?
Sure. So see, we are flexible on that point. That means if you have already purchased certain setup and you want us to monitor, we can monitor and manage them for you, operate them for you. If you want to, or say for example, if you have purchased service, you want us to provide only a privilege access management solution, say for example, now we can provide that, but it is, and because you are our existing customer, we will probably go ahead and provide the solution to you. But if it is going to be the only solution that a new customer wants to purchase, we will have to discuss further on it. I'm sure there will be much more depth in the requirement of the number of use cases which will come up from the customers. So we'll be able to
Sure. Thank you, Sudhansu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for asking.
Any other questions? Please be open. I think, we have another 5 minutes. If there are any kind of questions, please actually, feel free to put it across to Sudhanshu, and there are a group of people here in the panel. So we'll be able to, address it and take it forward.
Okay. Yes, we will be able to share the presentation for reference. We'll convert that into a PDF format and we will share it with you. And I keep traveling. So traveling in the sense I keep traveling to multiple cities across the city. I'm based out of Gurgaon. So in case you are in a different city than Gurgaon or NCR, feel free. I will definitely come. I actually love traveling. Okay. So I don't think so. Either we have understood all of it, so or we are shy to ask questions. So okay, there is seems to be thank you, Marutu. Okay. All right. So good. So I thank Pradipta and Deepak for joining and sparing their valuable time for this presentation today. Right. So I learned a lot of things specifically on the manufacturing segment, and I'd love to have more discussions also with you at a later point in time. Right. So let us do that, and thanks everybody from my side. Right. So for giving us your valuable time, where we could share with you some thoughts, what we share, what we see in the market, right, in a different context altogether. Hope it was useful to you to get a sense about zero trust and some new ideas, some new points which you will be able to share with your colleagues and your friends and your employees. Thank you from my side. Anju, over to you.
Thank you, Sudhanshu, for expressing gratitude. And thank you, Mr. Patro and Mr. Deepak, for addressing us. And a big thank you to all of you in the audience for attending this event. With this, we conclude the session. And as I had mentioned earlier, we will be releasing the video recording of the session on our LinkedIn and website. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
And thanks, everyone.